It's time for an Islay Dram, a very special independent bottle of Islay Smoky Peaty whiskey. And today I have a fantastic, very smart dummy joining me on today's Camp Dram. Sanjay, y'all. Welcome to the camp. Welcome to Scotch on the Bayou. I'm Leanne, and my very special guest is
Mark from Scotch for Dummies.
Mark from Scotch for Dummies. I'm so excited he's here. He's finally at the camp. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to have him down here, and we have kept you busy. That's for
wonderful.
Sure.
I can tell you the camp is everything I thought it was going to be and more. We've been out on the bayou. We've taken a couple boat rides. We've done some fishing. And now we're going to get into a bottle that neither one of us has had.
This is so exciting. So I had this bottle, found this bottle by way of recommendation from my friend Jennifer, who actually had it over in Scotland. And we were able to find it here in the States. And it's an independent bottler that has gotten into the distillery game. And it's an Islay.
Sure.
And it's a single malt from Islay.
Right, and so they're not the only one, no independent bottler owning distilleries, not
Right.
distilleries now, but the distillery they own isn't old enough to be putting out juice.
Right, so it makes you wonder, what is this? But today's Camp Dram is the Scarabus specialty, specially selected.
Blah, blah,
They have 3 different versions. They have a 10, this,
and a batch.
and a batch. So we have not opened this up, so we're going to open this up, pour us some, and let you know what we think about it.
Tell me a little bit about it, or I'll tell you a little bit about it. We got 46% ABV. This was available locally. You purchased this,
Yeah.
'cause I've never seen it.
It's from the big box store.
Okay, and what'd you pay for it?
$38. So I'm kind of wondering, what single malt NAS, but as you said, 46%, what am I going to get for $38? You know, less than $40. It's going to be interesting to see.
Well, it also makes me wonder whose distillate is in this bottle.
Yeah, and I got a suspect, like the usual suspects when it comes to independent bottlers. There's that other, you know, that guy. What's his name? Compass Box dude. Yeah, that guy. John Glazer uses one particular Islay distillery who puts out a ton of product. So my first guess is Kalila. Not sure. Don't know how to prove it, but
We talked about it when we ruled all the Islas out, and I gotta agree with you. If I had to take a percentage guess, I think you're right. But I don't know. I've never had this. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about Douglas Laing. No, Hunter
Laing.
I know more about Douglas Laing.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right.
And so we had to research this, and I didn't realize they'd been around since 1949 or something like that.
Right.
And read their history, what they've gone through, and now they are owning a distillery. So I saw this bottle when I got to the camp, and I'm like, where did you get this, Leanne? And what? And she's like, well, we're going to do a camp dram on that. So I was pretty excited.
I know. And yeah, you know, I mean, the Langs have been in there, and there's other independent bottlers that are kind of getting into that distillery game, right? I mean, Adelphi has the new distillery, Ardnahoe, that actually just won Best New Distillery in the Oswas. So you've got some people that have been in the blending game that are now coming into distilling.
There's Gordon and MacPhail. I believe they own Ben Riach. No, it's not Ben Riach. That's Ben Romick.
Ben Romick.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Good save. I've screwed that up twice. But there's multiple independent bottlers now that are actually getting into the distilling game. So this is one of them. I'm anxious to see what they do with their distillery and get some of that distillate. But
well, we had new make when I was there for the Islay Whiskey Academy. We had some of the new make that came off Ardnahoe, owned by Hunter Laing, and it was very promising. It was very fruity and floral almost.
And I was very
remember.
jealous.
Yeah. It's like 3 years later, I'm still like having flashbacks to Islay. I will say Ardnahoe has the most gorgeous still house because it looks over to Jura, and you see the paps of Jura.
Right, the two, yeah.
And it's just absolutely gorgeous. And then Kalila, if this is Kalila, is just right down the coast from that. So on the nose, I'm getting a lot of salt and brine.
Actually, I think it's more briny than it's peaty.
Yeah.
There
or
is
smoky.
obviously a peat note in there, but it's not a heavy in your face Lafroig or even an Ardbeg peat. It's not even an earthy Lagavulin peat.
Nope. Yeah, almost. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a light Highland Park peat, but
There's a fruity note in there.
yeah,
Um,
but not too smoky either.
no.
No campfire, no ashtray, no barbecue pit.
Well, we started off the
Just
show
a woof.
thinking we were going to get,
I know. Don't tell me it's not unpeated, huh?
Better not
That
be.
would be a that would be a coup. Like truly.
I got to try it.
Do not know.
It's peated.
Is peated. Yeah, it comes through on the palate. Not the nose much at all, but definitely on the palate.
I get roasted peanuts on the palate. Long finish. I think it drinks 46 at least. It's a little hot, but not unapproachable.
No, not
I
at
can
all.
handle it neat.
Yeah, very warming finish. Finish is just kind of hanging there. But that sip, so it smells sweeter than I think it tastes to me.
The finish I thought was really salty as well. I think on the nose it was a sea brine, but on the finish it was more like a table salt.
Yeah, like
finish.
I just had a flashback of having to gargle with salt water. I mean, it's not off-putting like that, but
Not
that
that strong.
concentration of like a big, like, wow, salt.
Right, it's there.
I mean, you like have that on your a mouthfeel of salt.
There is a sweetness on the nose, maybe a light vanilla underneath it all. Some bourbon cask influence in there.
I'm trying to decide what the sweet on the palate is because it's not there much at all. It's more of a it's not very fruity. It's more of just a it's not like table sugar. Slight
Honestly, before
watered
that,
down honey maybe.
there is definitely a sweeter in the very late palate, early finish. There is a sweet note that just rides right down the middle of it. A little bit of a vanilla hint on it, but it's sweet. And then that table salt long finish.
And
It's
I get a
interesting.
little bit of smoke on the finish too.
I'm gonna put just a
And I kind of get like the sour on the side of the mouth.
cap full of water in mine, just to see what that does. I'm always anxious to see what a few drops of water does to a peat. Honestly, it normally makes it just open up and really get there. But you know, water can have a negative effect as well. So 46% ABV. I probably put 5 or 6 drops in here, maybe watered it down to 45 at best. Didn't change the nose much yet. It wasn't a thick whiskey either.
No.
You said it was $40
$40.
for a 46% ABV. Now, non-age statement. We didn't say that, so we got to keep that in mind. But we know it's not their distillery because their distillery doesn't have distillate old enough to be bottling it, does it? Or maybe right.
They're coming up, but they're not there yet. They purposely want to wait longer.
They're sure not using any of that distillate for
No,
for an independent.
no, and
bottling
I've had this bottle for a while,
Okay.
so that mathematically ruled them out anyway.
Scarabus.
Scarabus,
Plural beetles. I don't.
plural of scarab. As,
Scarab.
but I like the motto on here, and it says, "Only those who seek shall find." And I kind of Scarabus Islay. I love that because I have found a lot of fun things on Islay. I have found a lot of things in life by just going out and trying to figure it out.
You are an adventurous
So-
one. I'm very jealous of your adventures to
If you don't go
Scotland.
looking, you ain't gonna find it.
But I do think it's a pretty label. It's got a pretty neat little write-up here of, of alchemy and craft and cask and all that good stuff. But for $40, getting a 46% ABV whiskey, that right off the note, we'll get into the water, is a very approachable peat. In other words, if you're not a big Islay person, a big
Right.
peat head, and you're afraid to try peats, this one's not going to punch you in the nose and discourage you, at
But
least yet.
I tell you what I think it is doing for me anyway. It's building upon the peat on the finish.
Did you put water at all in
I
it?
barely put a few drops. But the peat finish, that's where it comes out. Not on the taste, not on the nose. It's definitely just building on the finish.
I agree with you. I'll be honest though, I think I liked it better neat. I think neat it offered me a stronger palate up front, and I did like that vanilla note now that the water has just taken away. I still get the strong finish on the peat, but I missed the mid-range. That's what I was enjoying the most probably out of it.
Yeah.
So if I were to take this bottle home with me in my luggage, I'm gonna drink it neat.
I'm sure it can find its way. You can't find it up there.
So you said this was just a big box store,
Yeah.
right? So it should be readily available.
Should be readily available, yeah.
I'm anxious to see what they do with their distillery, but I'm also anxious to get into those other two Scarabuses now because I'd never even seen this bottle. I was so intrigued by it when I walked into the camp that I just was excited to find out we're going to be doing this in front of camera for the first time. You guys are getting like a first reaction.
Yeah.
And I've never had this stuff before.
I mean, we cracked that bottle open just now.
It really does not have an overpowering peat on the nose.
No.
It's actually a little thin on the nose with the peat.
Yeah. But very enjoyable, and for less than $40.
So as we finish up talking about Scarabus, let me tell you guys a little bit about this camp. You guys are watching Camp Drammer. This place is absolutely gorgeous. It is rest and relaxation, Louisiana style. You can't get much better. We've been wetting the line out on the dock. We went on a beautiful boat ride this morning for a few hours and saw all kinds of wildlife.
Yeah.
You were so excited when we saw that duckbill.
So we saw 2 Rosetta spoonbills, which are absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, bright, think flamingo with a paddle bill, you know.
And we chased them all up and down. I think they were getting irritated with us, but we saw, I don't know, a dozen or more gators, a couple big ones, a couple decent sized ones. We've had a really good time here. The camp is real and it is enjoyable. So I thank you for having me down here at camp, first of all, but then sharing your whiskey with me.
You knew I was going to be sharing some whiskey, and we just started. We've only just started.
That's true.
Because you're here for the week, so that's
so
gonna be a lot of fun.
Scarabus, 46%, $40. What do you think?
I'd buy it. I'd have it on the bar.
I'd have it on my bar. I think it's a really approachable peat, and I think it's enjoyable.
Yep. Thanks for being here on this week's Camp Dram. Thank you for being here.
Sláinte.
Sláinte, y'all.